How's it going, everybody? Quincy Brannan here with the Brannan Law Group, your Texas cannabis attorney. Today we're coming at you with some news. Please be sure to read all the disclaimers down in the description below. This is not legal advice. This is just information and entertainment that we're presenting here. So let's dive right into it, shall we? So basically what we're looking at, what I saw in the news that stuck out that I wanted to talk about was the fact that people are talking about the potentials of the cannabis industry being legalized and that being able to help boost the economy. As we all know, thanks to the crisis that we've been in with the pandemic, the economy is looking like it's going to either take a deep recession or a potential depression. Knowing all of this, there have been calls for the federal government to start to loosen up regulations and possibly legalize the cannabis community that's already popularized in many states throughout the United States and legalized in many states throughout the United States. In fact, 2/3 of Americans almost at this point are in favor of legalization. So with that call, they're wanting the U.S. government to make it legal, to tax it, and to let these businesses begin to see themselves in a light so that they can grow and hire more people. So getting down to that, the biggest thing that people are talking about is how this goes back to the example with Prohibition. Apparently, when Prohibition was going on in the early part of the 20th century, the United States government, it's estimated, lost out on about $11 billion in taxes that they could have been garnering from the alcohol industry. It's estimated that from the sources, and I'm not making all of this up, you can check all my sources down below, but various sources are indicating that they estimate the economy could benefit from $100 to $150 billion just off of the cannabis industry alone. That's the generation of sales tax in the state. That's the generation of federal income taxes and employment income taxes that would be derived from the new workforce. So that's a lot of money. And as you can tell from the way the pandemic went down, most states actually saw the benefit of cannabis and they made them essential business. Only Massachusetts, where cannabis is legal, did not make it an essential business, but they reversed course on that at the end of May. But every other state had it as an essential business and allowed it to remain in operation. Now, what did this mean for their economies? Basically, their economies were able to jump up, and in some places they were able to see their highest or their second highest returns in sales. And in fact, Aurora Cannabis, which is a publicly traded company, it's probably the best well-known marijuana company, marijuana stock as they call it, in the United States. They actually had a huge increase, reported huge numbers. Now, that's probably just a one-time spike from all of this, but it demonstrates the viability of it. It was seen as an essential product by most states. It was put out there, and it generated income during a time when most businesses were beginning to shutter their doors. All right? Now, at this point, it's reported that the cannabis industry employs between 150 and 250,000 people in the United States. That's a lot of jobs. That's a lot of jobs that didn't necessarily disappear. When we're looking at a time when almost 40 million Americans have filed unemployment claims, when the unemployment rate is rising and skyrocketing, when businesses are beginning to shutter their doors and they're never returning, the cannabis business led this march into garnering profit and revenue and job creation, potential job creation. I didn't see anything specific to that, but you can imagine if their revenues were beginning to jump up like that, they probably had to hire at least temporary or seasonal workers to deal with the demand. Okay? It just doesn't make any sense that the United States is doing this, that they are not going to jump on board and give serious consideration to adding this much money to the economy. I know $134 billion potentially, which is one of the figures that was thrown out there, is not a huge amount considering how much our GDP is on average, but that is still such a significant number that it could change the course of how we recover from this disaster. Looking at some of the other things they talked about, They talked about how Illinois made their second highest month in cannabis sales. Um, let's see. They also talked about how if we were to get job creation from the legalization of marijuana, we'd be looking at an additional 1 to 2 million jobs created in the United States over the course of a decade or two. That is a significant impact, and that could lead to a greater amount of prosperity and wealth in the coming time that it's going to be for us to clean all of this up in the coming decade that it's going to take for us to recover from this economic dip, from this economic recession, from this economic depression, whatever you want to call it, whatever this is bad times. It would be good to have some good times. So, with all that said, I'd like to know what you think. Go ahead and comment down below. As always, please smash that like button. Give us a like. Share this video. But most importantly, we want to hear what you have to say. Thank you.